used to having clap. Sorry, I stopped. You know what to do anyway, didn't you? You're a pro. You're a pro.
You're a podcast pro.
Podcast pro.
So I say, hello, my name.
You say whatever you want, podcast pro.
Hello, Rachel from Leaps and Bounces Tutoring.
Welcome to the Cherrywood Podcast with me, Simon Burridge, and the love of my life, Rachel Kerridge.
Aww.
Forward a bit more. And then it will hover. There you are. See?
It is hover.
That's hover.
Yeah.
I'm a master at it now. Oh, look, left the tape out. That's it. Hello, Rachel.
Take my book
Backup Rachel's back.
I know.
No?
Thanks for having me.
My backup Rachel.
I'm glad to see you.
But this time we're here for you, Rachel. So tell me before that falls off. What do you reckon?
I suppose she didn't actually get to choose last time, did she?
No, she didn't. It fell off of John Carlo, though, didn't it?
I can't remember.
I think it fell off the wall. It messes everyone's conversation up. So look at the state of it now.
Look
at that.
Right, you did put on new tape for me.
I did. Got new tape.
Put a bit of new tape.
Have a good think
You
about
should
it.
feel privileged.
Can you give us time? Can you give us time or
The time?
how long before it falls off?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant what time was it? I reckon
New tape as well.
15 minutes,
Yeah.
35 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
All right then.
From
So
now?
Yeah.
from now, well, we don't look. We don't say what time it is because we like people to think we've recorded this 2 seconds ago before they've watched it. But it's just gone the hour. It doesn't matter what hour that is, and 2 minutes. So we're going to say 17 minutes on that hour.
17.
70 minutes, 35.
Rachel's working it all out.
Today's sponsors are Angelo's Interiors, specialising in kitchens, bedrooms and bathrooms. Go and visit their showroom today in Gillingham. Their web address is angelosinteriors.com. De Medici Associates, chartered, structural and civil engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on demediciassociates.com.
That's all right, I can provide you with some maths lessons if you need it.
Nice roll into.
So you're Rachel. Hello, Rachel
Hello.
Kerridge and Rachel Burridge, just to confuse things.
Yeah.
Rachel Burridge,
Two
Rachel
Rachels.
Kerridge. Leaps and Bounces is your company.
Yeah, so I run a primary school private tutoring company. So I tutor children in maths and English from age 4 to, I've actually got one who is 13 as well, who I'm doing English with. It's quite new. I've only been doing this since September 2023. And at the moment I'm doing one-to-one tuition in the children's homes, and I do some online as well. But I'm hoping to expand that to small groups as well.
Nice.
Right, so the ones you do online,
Yeah.
can they be any? They can obviously be any distance, can they? And are you doing them online because of that?
The one that I'm doing online, there's a little bit of a distance. So I'm based in Dartford. She is around here actually, around Rochester way. But she is a child who is home educated.
Right.
And she's quite shy. So Mum felt that she would feel more confident with that sort of barrier, if you like, of the laptop. I have to say I was quite nervous actually. So this is the only one that I'm doing online currently. I was like, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if I'll be able to engage with the child in the same way that I usually would. But I think obviously with COVID and things like that,
Kids are
online
quite confident.
and online tutoring, I think lots of the platforms that they use now are much better than they used to be. So actually it's working out really well. I still feel like we're engaged and I can still put in interactive activities, even though it's over the screen.
Do you do multiple kids on Zoom? Because they can put their hand up on Zoom now, can't they?
Yeah. So this is what.
Have you never done that before?
Through COVID.
Yeah.
I've put my hand up before, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a new thing. They can put their hand up now. I'm like, you could do that anyway.
I don't think that was on Zoom originally. Then the COVID kicked in. And you was allowed to put your hand up. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. No, I haven't done that yet. So when I first started in September, I was just doing one-to-ones in children's homes, and almost all of the children that I tutor are neurodiverse, so they either have ADHD, ASD, or a combination of both. Some of the pupils also have got a couple who have dyslexia. So when I first started, I think for many of those children, it was better to be in their home environment and have the parent around. I can't remember what the question was that you asked me.
It was multiple kids.
Oh, yeah. So I haven't done groups yet. I haven't even done groups online yet. But that's the next thing that I would like to do. So having groups online and groups in person as well.
Perfect.
So, yeah, at the moment it's very much one-to-one. I've got some siblings, actually. That's 2-to-1. And that's a phonics group. And that works out really well. They've got a little cabin in their garden. And that's my little classroom with them, which is really nice.
Well, you said you were looking for some classroom space. Just use that.
So do you have to plan all these lessons out in advance, sort of, because obviously you've got different age ranges, so you must have to sort of structure it to their age, right? Because you can't give like a 4-year-old the same way that you're giving a 13-year-old.
Yeah, there is quite a lot of planning involved, actually. And I think I probably could make it easier for myself. You know, like I could probably just do a lot more printing off worksheets. But I try to, even though most of the time I'm working on maths and English skills, I also think it's really important for them to have those soft skills. So we might start with a logic game, or dominoes is a great one. Just having a little chat about their week, things like that. Because I do an hour. A lot of tutors only do 45 minutes.
Right.
And I think really an hour of structured maths or English probably would be too much for a child. But getting in those soft skills, I feel like you need the hour really to sort of build up that rapport.
You need to have that little bit of a conversation with them first, don't you? You need to have that, not just
wean them
straight
in a little bit, so you're straight into a lesson.
So the planning, I would say, it does take up a lot of time. However, I've been a primary school teacher in the past, and compared to that, it's nothing. But also because I personalise each session for each child is actually really nice. Like I enjoy the process of planning for them, and it does come it's more of a fluid process than it did when I was teaching in a primary school, because I can be driving along and I think, oh, so and so, I bet he'd like to do such and such. So it's a lot more fluid. But I have sort of one day of the week where I'm purely planning, doing admin, and then I probably do a few hours every other weekend just to kind of top it up. And there are some things that I can repeat with
certain ages.
certain children, especially as with this job, I feel it's more about stage than age. So there are things actually that you can do with a 4-year-old that you might adapt for an older child to keep their interest. But yeah, there is some repeating that I can do.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy teaching children and sort of giving them the knowledge and thinking and seeing them progress and thinking, you didn't know that a few weeks ago, now you do, and it gives you a little bit of warm feeling.
It does.
Like, oh,
it really does. And obviously, you guys knew when I first started this. I didn't really have any expectations of, and I was thinking, I don't want to run my own business. I just want a little something on the side. And I think I'm already at the point where I'm like, no, I'm really loving this. I love the flexibility. I love how I can personalise to each child. Even the relationships that I built up with the parents, it's usually mums, and the fact that they can sort of ask me mum things, and we can have those like mum parent conversations. I get a lot out of it sometimes. So I walk away and think, oh, I think I should try that at home.
And you've got children as well, so you can obviously possibly try it out on them and say, how does this feel? And from their schooling how it works and everything like that as well. So you could always adapt some of their stuff and their lessons.
I really do feel valued doing what I'm doing. The families and the children that I've got, I mean, a lot of that's luck really, isn't it? They found me at the end of the day, but it just seems to work and click. And they're all people, sounds so naff, doesn't it? But they are all people that I think I could hang out with them. If there wasn't a professional, relationship there, I think, I'd go out. I'd go out for a drink with that mum,
It doesn't go too well with that. Well, okay, I've done the maths for her. Can we go out on Saturday?
Let's go down the pub.
That bottle of wine you've got sitting up there. Crack that open.
Can we be friends?
That is what I feel like sometimes. I'm like,
I know.
I leave the houses and I think,
I know what you're like. That is something you would
they're
ask.
friends.
Can we be friends?
And she's sitting in the corner doing like all those games.
Yeah,
And we're going,
But yeah, no, I do feel really valued. And again, it's amazing how these things kind of grow without you necessarily thinking about. So I'm a massive overthinker. You might know that
Really,
about me
Rach?
already.
Yeah.
And in the past, I've worked freelance, and I think I've tried to do too much. I've gone at too fast a pace. I've had so many ideas about things, and then I can't sort of hone in. And I think actually, this time, strangely, I almost wasn't looking or trying, and then it's grown very organically. And now I can really take the reins and say, okay, do you know what, this can go somewhere else. So I can offer a lot more to these families. I can offer a lot more to these children. I could, and obviously I'm trying to make a living. So sort of growing a business that's going to support me and my children as well. But I think that having that, maybe that slow start and building up my few sort of OGs, my original little crew, and the feedback that I've got has been, sometimes when I have those moments of self-doubt, I'm like, okay, this mum sent this message.
Yeah.
You don't, and obviously you do know in business, people don't praise you and tell you what a fantastic job you're doing. They don't go out of their way to send an email unless they really mean it and they really want to.
And it is nice because that's come from the heart.
Yeah.
And like the testimonies that we get, and you think, oh, they're actually really nice.
Yeah.
And like
go on.
I was going to say, one of them that I had a few years ago, she almost made me cry. She was sort of like, you were amazing, you're this, you're that. And then she said, I didn't even realise you were here. You just did so well. She said, every time I look at my photos, I cry. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
You've made a real difference to somebody.
And just from something that I like doing, like my photos, I love doing the photography, has given this woman like all these memories and everything like that. And it just feels
and most people would only do a review of their negative reviews.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about our culture today, isn't it? If you've got something bad to say, everyone's all over
Everyone
it.
wants to say it.
And now if you don't
tell everyone about it. Yeah.
And if you have something good to say, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And you don't actually write a good post to say, actually, can I just say that you were actually really good, or the hotel we stayed in was really good. That no one does that nowadays, do they?
I think as
it's
well.
sad.
Go on.
And I was just going to say that I got one last week. You probably saw it because I put it on Facebook. And the mum said something about
Don't follow you on Facebook.
it being a nurture.
Yes, we do.
Sorry.
A nurture. Thank you for creating a nurturing learning environment for my children, and that as well. It's not just saying some nice words and complimentary words, which is lovely. I was like, you get me, because that's exactly what I always strive to provide. So the fact that she said that, I was like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like I've obviously what I want to produce and give, I have done it, and it's got through to you. And I think she'd had like the children had like 2 lessons with me or something. So yeah, and I really didn't expect.
No.
When I did the tuition, I thought, oh, 1-to-1, going to other people's houses, you know, driving around, all that kind of stuff.
Do you feel like you would get judged, like if the mum was there and listening in on what you're doing?
I was really nervous. I still get, do you know, I think before I go into any of them, I still get this little feeling in my tummy.
Yeah, but that's you.
Yeah, exactly. I get that everywhere I go, to be honest.
You get that if you're going to Tesco's.
Yeah. Actually, Tesco's is one of the worst. All the lights and the buzzing of the fridges and people walking around. And
So you take in the buzzing and the fridges and things like that?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you got some issues there.
Squeaky wheels of the trolleys, all of that. Yeah. Anyway, that's probably for another podcast.
Certainly is.
We might.
I can't remember what I was saying now. I can't remember what point I was getting to.
Reviews. You were talking about reviews and how
Yes.
nice it was of that couple to send you it after 2 things.
Oh yeah, I said about
and now
how
she got you the nurturing side of you. Yeah.
yeah, that the whole thought of going place to place and in people's houses, and like you say, like the parents going to stand there and like judge me, and you know, I really thought, oh, it'll be something, you know, maybe I'll try it and see. I didn't realise how much I would get from it and how much I would enjoy it and how much I feel like, oh, I'm actually quite good at this. I can do this.
Because I think it's helpful for the children as well, because I know sometimes their classes are so big and they've got 30 children that they're trying to compete with, and if one person doesn't get it and the rest do, and they try and say, I don't get it. And they're not going to have the confidence to put their hand up and say, I really don't get this, especially at sort of like 6, 7, 8. Yeah. To say, I need some more help, I need some more help. They'll just sit there and be like, oh, okay, everyone else gets it. I'll just sort of sit here and just not say anything. And then your tutoring obviously really helps with that, because you can, if they don't get it, you can actually say to them, what don't you get? Let's go over it again and again and again until it actually not sinks in, because that sounds rude, until they logically understand this is the process.
Well, we've got the time. And I think as well, I mean, obviously I'm not going to knock schools. I still work in a school currently as well. But it has been interesting. So I have been tutoring children who are home educated, as well as children that go to mainstream school and children that go to special schools. So to see sort of the difference in the culture maybe and the attitudes that have come from obviously their environments, and the children who have had school as part of their environment and children who haven't had school as part of their environment, that's been really interesting. And I feel like I've learned I've grown as a practitioner to kind of come in, and I've learned from the parents that are homeschooling as well, because they're doing something that I've not done, apart from during COVID, but doesn't really count. We were forced to do it then. We didn't choose to do that. I learned from them. I learned sort of different approaches, I think, is probably the main thing. And I mean, I personally think any child is going to benefit from that one-to-one support. I think any adult would. And it is not something that can be provided in school when you've got 33, 34 children in a class sometimes. So the children that are in school, I like to think that what I'm doing supplements, what they're already getting. But a lot of it,
we found it really helped Tilly, didn't we?
Yeah.
A little bit of extra education on focusing on one area.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing, like so I always do an introductory session, and that's all about really getting to know the child, getting to their family, knowing what their expectations are of the tutoring. And I've never had anyone say anything, really crazy like, oh, my child is working at this level and I want them to be, so that actually most of the time the children themselves know what it is that they feel they're not strong in, know what they want to develop.
Giving them the confidence to tell you or not.
Yes. And this is the thing so many parents say to me is, I think they're just not very confident. And that is the first 3-4 sessions, that's almost what I feel like I need to overcome is confidence. And, the amount of children that, I don't know why, but particularly boys actually, they're almost scared to put the answer because they don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
And they'll say, oh, is it this? I say, do you think it's that?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's the answer. Well, why do you think that's the answer? Oh, because I did X, Y, and Z. And you're like, well, there you go. That's the answer. Or, okay, yeah, you did think of X, Y, and Z, but did you think of this other thing? And then they're like, oh, okay, and they go back.
Do you think it has something to do with boys maybe being a bit more competitive?
Maybe.
And not wanting to get it wrong, like a score in a game type thing.
I mean, I do get it with girls
I'm
as
not
well.
saying girls aren't competitive.
Boys. Yeah, no, I know.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
boys
generally.
Girls go out and they play in the playgrounds. It's not always games, is it? It's not always scoring points games, is what I mean.
It's more like
boys, it's always scoring points, getting something. So in their eyes, getting that question wrong is like an own goal.
They do tend to really worry. Again, I think there is a bit of pressure maybe as well in some ways where it is one-to-one. I'm looking at everything they're doing. So I think I'm quite aware sometimes of saying, right, I'm going to leave you to that, and I'll sort of pretend I'm writing notes, just to give them that little bit of space so they don't feel completely sort of...
Well, that's horrible for everyone, though, isn't it? You've got someone over your shoulder.
Okay.
She loves it. When she's editing and I'm doing it, she loves it.
But then he hates it and he goes, can you just watch this? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm literally there with my pen and paper going,
but I know what she's
going to... Because you want to jump in, don't you?
I know what she's going to pick holes in. But that ain't right. I've already told you I'm not doing that bit yet.
But now you say, watch the whole video. If you have to, write down notes and wait, like look at the time and tell me then afterwards. And I'm like, yeah, it's good. And he went, oh, right, Kate, tell me then. And I'm like, but just this little tiny bit.
Yeah.
But it's just...
constructive feedback.
It's from someone else's point of view.
It's annoying from her. But I know what it is. That's the annoying thing about it is you've spotted something that I've spotted.
Yeah. And that's the only thing. But going back to the tutoring, like Ted, I know when we do spellings with him, we've got into this habit now of he works on praise big time. So you have to praise him up. Like even like the way he writes something or his lettering and the way he sort of curls his letters and stuff, you have to say to him, "Oh, that's amazing, 10." He's like, "Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that again."
He needs Scooby snacks all the time. He does.
But even last night when I was saying to him, like, okay,
Sorry.
I think we had like accident. We've got spellings. We had accident, believe, caught, and stuff like that. So weird ones that you couldn't really break down or chunk down, as he calls them. And like he was writing one last night, and I said to him, "Okay, so write caught down." And he did it, and I went, "You think that's right?" And he went, "Oh, that means it isn't then." I went, "No, I'm asking you a question. Do you think it's right?" And he went, "Oh, I don't know. I'm just going to write it down. Do I write it down?" And I could hear and see him like, "God, is it right? Is it right?" And I could just see his little brain working overtime. And I just went, "If it's not right, we'll work on it
That's
again."
why we're practicing. That's what I always say. This is why we're practicing. If you knew it all, there'd be no point in me being here. And then the other thing that really helps with the confidence is I'll say, right, I'm going to ask you a question. And then you can test me. You know, obviously there's a little bit of role play there because I usually know the answer.
Have you ever
this is a part of you we never know.
And been like, "Oh crap, I haven't."
Not on purpose. I mean, not accidentally, on purpose. Yeah. But that's another way of really seeing what they understand. Because if they can think up a question about what you're looking at, that's actually quite a difficult skill. Because they're having to analyse. Or even if it's like so with spelling practice, for example, playing hangman. I know it's not politically correct anymore. I don't do hangman. We build a man.
Oh, is that what they have to call it?
Yeah. Well, no, that's what I feel, because I do feel like it's a bit unkind, isn't it?
Or hang person.
You're ruining our heritage is what you're doing.
Anyway, back to type of game. They'll do a word for me, and actually, if they've got a word, so for example, the other day a child had pronunciation, which I think is a very difficult word. Why they would need to know that at that age. But anyway, they would get spellings given from school. So
the English language is mental anyway.
Yeah, it is.
It makes no sense.
When it came to him having a go for me, he was suddenly like, "Oh, actually, it's harder than you think to like work out the dashes." So he had to count every letter, write out every letter, and then every time I said, "Oh, is there an A in it?" he was going back to the word chicken. But he had to check that word so many times, and that's why it was good for helping him to learn the word.
Yeah, that's good.
And of course, I knew the word quite quickly, but I had to think there's a H. But they love it, and he was like, "Oh, I got it after 3 goes when you tested me, but you took 7 tries or something." I'm like, "Oh, you know."
That's really cool. That's cool.
But like last night with Ted, again, going back to his spellings, and he got the first time, because what they have to do is they have to read them, copy them, and then cover it. Yeah. And so we did that one, and he got 5 wrong, but it was tiny little mistakes, like centre, he put the E and the R around the wrong way. And like before, if I said to him, "You got 5 wrong, 5 out of 10," and he would have had a meltdown.
Oh, he just loses it.
He would have had a meltdown. But last night I went, "Oh, these are just tiny little mistakes that we can just fix and we can work on." I said, "Look, you know these words now." And he was like, "Yeah, okay." So I try my hardest to break down, like believe, it was B, so he knows how to spell B, L-I-E-V-E. I said that, and he went, "That's a Pokemon, Mum, so I'll remember that one." And that's how he remembers it. So if you link it to something he's interested in, you've got his attention completely.
We had amateur the other day, and this is a child who has English as an additional language. So quite often, a lot of the words that he gets, he can't always read them, but he often doesn't actually know what they mean. And if you don't understand what a word means, you're not going to be motivated to know how to spell it. So it makes it so much more difficult. But with that one, he was like, "Amateur footballer." Like, he knew the meaning of that one. And when he came to spell it, he's obviously seen that word and used that word, and there's some meaning behind that word, and he could do it. But the group spelling words that schools have, they're set by the Department for Education. And I think one of the problems with it is they're not often anymore grouped with a particular sound, especially once they get beyond learning phonics. They get to Key Stage 2. So you might have, this is all about silent letters, but there could be a silent W in one, a silent H in another, and I think that makes it a lot more difficult if you've got a spelling pattern to follow. And even if it's like topic words, you know, if they've got that theme, I think that makes it easier, and I think it can be a lot harder when they just seem quite random.
But like Ted's this week was something like accident, believe, then it was breathe and breath. there was, like you said, there was no pattern to it that I thought, okay, well, like it was before we've had sort of, like you say, the silent letters or the chs or the shons, TION at the end. And you can say, right, this is all about this. And there was one week, I think it was when I was in hospital, and you brought him down and we did it in hospital. And you said, right, if you know the last 4 letters, just learn the rest of the words, because everyone now has this in front of it at the end. Sorry,
it's just, it turns into a 4-letter word spelling test.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. The brain loves patterns, so they try and pick up. When you're looking at something or you need to learn something, your brain will instantly try and make patterns. So if you can do that as easily as possible, then that's it's going to benefit them. So
What's your view on joined up handwriting?
I was just about to ask that question. Help me.
Okay, so
it stresses me out how schools make too much of a meal of it. In my opinion, if you can understand it and it's reasonably innate, that's good enough.
Handwriting to me, or writing is a form of communication. So if you're able to communicate your message, then, and it's legible, as you say, like you can read it, then what difference does it make?
I know.
Especially in this day and age.
When you're not even going to be writing much.
Yeah, actually typing skills is probably more important.
100%.
However, if your child is at a school and they're working with the national curriculum.
That's in it.
Yeah, when it gets to year 6, for them to get above expected, they have to be able to prove and show that the child uses cursive writing. To be perfectly honest, I've had children, I trained in year 6, who chose not to join up their handwriting in their English books when they were doing a long piece of writing. But if they had a handwriting book that you could take also with you, you could show they're capable of doing it.
Because I've said to teachers in the past, if my son or my daughter hands in a bit of writing and it's completely correct, marks, ticks every point that you want her to make, you want them to make, and then he or she hands in the same bit of writing but it's not joined up, are you actually going to mark it differently because it's not joined up? She said no. Ted really tries hard in English, bless him, and like his T's now look like A's because they've taught him to join from the T up, go down and across, and they look like A's. So I have to say to him sometimes,
it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Do it properly.
We worry about them losing. It's a sort of worrying about them losing a skill in a way.
Yeah,
handwriting is a skill. Yet we stopped typewriting lessons.
Yeah,
didn't we? And in theory, typewriting lessons probably now are more important.
Yeah.
Because they used to teach them to do freehand. What's it called? Touch typing.
Yeah. I
my mum can do that.
like writing. I did a calligraphy course when I was at school, but I still do it now in cars and things like that. So I do still feel like there's an art to it. However, I think if that's causing a barrier to the child,
break the barrier.
Then why are we doing it? Take the barrier away.
What upsets me is if that kid's got to do it in joined up handwriting and you can't understand that writing, yet you can understand the writing when he doesn't join it up. Let the kid just do the writing.
Yeah, it does demotivate them as well. Especially, I know children who have got really curly, fancy writing because they felt that that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
They can't read it back themselves.
Exactly.
Well,
and when they get to secondary school, they don't care anyway.
Exactly. And I've got mum friends that have said in year 6, they said, right, okay, do you want them to do this test in handwriting, joined up handwriting? No, don't worry about it. And again, going back to your point about if they've got a handwriting book, that's fine. So why add extra stress to these little people's lives when, yes, it's on the curriculum, they can do it, brilliant. If they can't or they really struggle.
In theory, they'd be better off with a calligraphy class. They just do the normal handwriting and then learn a calligraphy. I can't even say it. Calligraphy.
You're right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, though?
I mean, that to me, calligraphy is actually a separate skill.
Yeah,
because
it's an art.
Often if you're doing something that's calligraphy based, you probably wouldn't be coming up with your own writing. You'd be doing a poem or a prayer
or a title or be handy for us can be like invites.
Yeah, exactly. You're not actually have to think about the content of your writing. Whereas if a child is doing an extended writing piece, there's so much for them to think about: the content, the grammar, the spelling, which is there's very high expectations in primary school for those things now. Handwriting's just an extra.
And then they've got to then add and go, oh my God, if I don't join up, I'm going to get told off. Then they sort of mislead and go, right, I need to make my story, I need to do this, I need to have all these points in it, and I need to join up my handwriting. Look, if it means just taking that one little bit away so they can actually concentrate on the main body of work, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our little
debate.
fine.
That's how I feel about handwriting too.
Good. Glad you feel about that. So you're a lady of many talents,
Thank you.
aren't you? Are you starting to get nervous now?
Oh God, what's it gonna say? I'm nervous.
Listeners, you have 3 guesses on what else Rachel can do, and I can guarantee you won't get them.
I do have some unusual hobbies.
I thought it was going to say breasts or something like that.
No, actually, I was going to. As as I'm trying to promote myself to parents and children, I was going to leave my breasts out of it.
Look, just so you don't think I'm a perv, Rachel's a friend of ours, all right? So I can say things like that. Get away with it. Can I get away with it?
I don't know if that proves you're not a perv.
No, that's very true.
Friend,
that's very true. But for comedy
I feel
reasons,
comfortable.
I've used it for comedy reasons.
Okay.
You're happy to be touched.
Tell me on the door where he touched it.
Tell us what. No,
just write a quick note to you on this notepad. Help! Sorry.
No, you're a close friend. You know.
Yeah, I know it's all in jest.
But so that means she's got hobbies that we can also take the piss out of as well. Which
you
is good.
take the piss? No.
Here we go.
Okay, well, I'll start with the newest hobby that I have.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Well,
we've literally just been informed of this.
We've only just found out this one.
Yeah.
This is a classic.
So we might have some questions.
It's very traditional. I'll give her that.
Yeah, I have got a background in dance. So prior to training to be a primary school teacher, I was a dance teacher in primary and secondary schools. I did dancing as a child, ballet, tap, modern, jazz, all of that stuff.
All that jazz.
Yes, very much so. And I also taught country dance for a little while, which I was kind of not roped into, but the school needed it, so I was like, yeah, I'll step up. I've got a dance background. But I have been to 2 Gothic Morris dance classes. Yeah, I am now a Morris dancer.
Gothic, but all in black or
black and white.
Do they all just look depressed and?
Well, in practice, we don't dress up. We just wear something comfortable.
I can't ask that. It's like, do you just don't look depressed?
They've got
goths are like.
They have like white and black, a little bit like Kiss kind of style makeup.
Right,
in uniform. Am I allowed to say the name of them? Can I
Kiss?
Promote them?
No. Of course you can say. You can say whatever you want.
The name.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're called the Screaming Banshees, and they're based in Dartford.
Screaming Banshees.
Nice.
Yeah,
because I've heard of that before. Screaming Banshees. That word's used a lot.
Something else, isn't it? Is there a band maybe?
Yeah, Screaming Banshees.
Yeah.
I think so.
But I like that it's sort of traditional. There's some history there, but it's got a twist.
I'll tell you what, you'll be performing in Rochester High Street.
Yes.
Yeah,
we will.
Are you?
Yes, I think so. Well, if I get good enough to do that.
Honestly.
Yeah.
They do.
They're doing Rochester
on Dickens Day.
I don't think they're doing the Dickens this year, but they are doing something in Rochester. I know that for sure because they were asking me if I wanted to do it.
We will be there. If you're there, just up, we are going to be
Front
there.
row.
I can't wait. I want a really lovely costume.
Do you hit sticks and stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty much all stick.
I suppose they use knives as a Gothic. Syringes.
No, just sticks. And I didn't know that you had to have like a special stick.
Oh yeah, it's got to be a long straight one.
It's got to be like a. I don't really. Actually,
it's probably
bad, isn't it?
It's probably like an instrument. Like it's got a probably good twang to it.
Yeah, but they've got to be certain. You can't just turn up with any old stick, basically.
Right. From the woods.
Yeah,
I bought a rolling pin.
I bought my own this time.
Rolling pin.
So yeah, it's great fun. People, good mixture of different people.
So how did you find these people? What did you search?
Facebook. It just popped up. On one of those local,
Come join us.
Yeah.
That's what pop-ups are for. People like her.
But I think
this looks like me.
Interested in that because I am a bell ringer.
Yeah, that's the one. The bell ringing.
Bells, which Simon just thinks is.
I think it's brilliant.
Fascinating.
I love it. Love a good
so
bell
I've been doing
ringer.
that for about 3-4 years, probably. But we had COVID that interrupted, and I was a little bit like in and then out and then in and out. Yeah, I didn't fully commit straight away.
So with all these things, you go on your own, or you have people that you go
bell
with?
ringing would be a bit hard by yourself.
No, as in you don't go with someone. You go there and then make friends.
I see what she's on about. She's like, you didn't ring a mate up and go, will you come with me to this Morris dancing?
No, I haven't. Although I do think I probably have got a few friends that probably try the Morris dancing.
That's the weird thing about you.
You would
right?
quite.
You go into
Yeah, that's
Tesco's,
amazing.
you talk about the fridges
anxiety.
buzzing, everything going on, the shopping trolleys, then you rock up by yourself
I know.
to the weirdest Morris dancing group I've ever heard of.
Do you know what though? I think sometimes going to something. Oh, I feel like I'm unearthing something. Actually, maybe I'm sharing. I'm going to overshare.
You're going to cry?
No, I won't cry.
Okay. You just make better figures. Go on.
I'm just thinking. I think in some ways, going to something that I know is going to be a bit unusual, I find easier because there's less expectation.
Okay.
And also you tend to find anyone else that's going there, they're going to be open-minded people that are maybe a little bit out there themselves. So doing something like that, I would find so much more comfortable than going into like somewhere mainstream, like a gym or... Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense because when I think of other things you do a bit of yoga on the beach and stuff. What is it you do? Summer solstice type yoga as well.
Gong bath, sound
bit of a
bath.
hippie actually, gothic-y hippie bell ringing person. Yeah. And you do flower arranging, also do things with like church candles or something. You arrange them, don't you? Something.
So actually, I should shout out the church, shouldn't I?
Okay, you should, yeah.
So it's St. John the Evangelist in Sidcup. It's a very inclusive church. They do lots of outreach things for the community. So you don't have to be Christian to go. It's just for everybody. And they have a toddler group and things like that. So I do the bell ringing there at St. John's bell ringing group.
We filmed there before. I filmed there before. Yeah.
Which is led by Debbie Runting. And I also do the flower arranging there as well. So I've got one of my best friends called Olive Mercer. Hello, Olive. She is the flower arranging coordinator, and she sort of taught me how to do the church flowers as well.
Is that something you thought about going into as a business? I imagine that's hard. Flower arranging, I don't imagine it's hard. It's hard.
It is.
Especially for a wedding day. And you can't control what those flowers are going to be.
Yeah.
Like.
I mean, I'm very much an amateur. I like it as a hobby, but no, it's not something that I would want to do professionally. I think I'd almost kill it a little bit, you know.
Well, that's not the word. You can't do that with flowers.
I think there would, like you said, there would be so much pressure.
There's too much pressure.
And making them perfect, and then you would never be happy with them, but yet you still would give them over to someone. And, oh God, that would stress me out big time.
And also, I'm too busy with the tutoring. I haven't got time, and all these unusual hobbies that I have.
So with bell ringing, do you have to be upper bodily fit, if that makes sense?
Upper body. Do you have to have upper body strength?
Yeah.
Upper bodily fit?
Not as, you know what? Do you have to have good upper body strength?
As much
I feel another cup coming on.
I don't have very good upper body strength, to be honest. Once you pull the bell off, actually, because they're quite heavy, that they have some momentum, so it's more about control and rhythm than strength. We have found, or I've found people who, if you've got maybe like mobility issues in your shoulders, I would say that would be a barrier to you.
My
doing
shoulder's
it.
killing me at the moment, actually. So glad I'm not going bell ringing.
But
imagine him in bell ring.
I would say you've got to be overtly strong. I mean, we've had 11-year-olds ring. We've got an 89-year-old guest visitor that
I have a genuine question, which has a little bit of comedy.
All these questions have been genuine.
No, none of them at all have been genuine so far. You see comedies with bell ringing, and what do you see? You see them grab the rope. Is that possible? It's got to be a very heavy bell to take you up, isn't it?
It would have to be
maybe a child, maybe.
Yeah, it could happen, but it would be very unlikely because actually your natural instinct would you just let go of it, and then the bell would probably swing, it'd break the stay. That wouldn't be good, but you wouldn't be. And you don't go up and down either. You wouldn't be, like they show them like going up and down, up and down.
Oh, that's impossible.
Yeah,
they just come down and stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know the bells, obviously.
Of course you do.
But when you met Rachel's mum a few months ago, or your dad, he immediately knew what the term was for bell ringing.
Oh, there's a name
for a bell ringer.
Yeah, what is the name of it?
Oh, no.
And you don't know it.
Campanology.
Who?
Campanology.
Campanology. Now, you'd think that's got something to do with a VW camper, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Hello, Snug Dubs. A campanology.
Yeah. So I would never have said.
Where does that arrive from, that name? Do you know any idea?
Yeah.
Where did it arrive?
I feel like you're testing my
we're really
now. I don't know. I'll look it up.
Okay. All right then, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In fact, that's really unusual of me to have not looked it up already. You know what a word nerd I am. But I don't know. I don't know the origins of
So
it.
in your bell ringing group, how many people are allowed to ring at one time?
So we've got 6 bells.
So 6 people.
But you can get towers with 12 bells in. We usually have more than 6 people in a practice night. And on a Sunday, we'll ring and then we will stop and then swap over, and someone else will do like a set, if you like.
Yeah.
And can
Do
you
have
ring
competition nights?
Oh my gosh!
And it hit the chicken as well. It actually, I
I heard it hit the chicken.
You're the first
Did the
one.
chicken go off?
Yeah.
You are the first
Really?
to have the chicken go off.
Because chickens love me, don't they?
Oh, God.
I love chicken.
Here we go. Here we go.
I did. Nearly
It
wet
works,
mustard.
doesn't it? It's good, isn't it?
I nearly wet mustard.
And was it? Oh no, you're a little bit
Really?
over. You were a little bit over that one.
Oh, you're well over. What did you say? I can't even remember.
15.
15.
Oh, you're way over.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's good, though.
Ooh.
Oh, I see it. So it didn't make me jump. It usually makes me jump.
Really
But I
made
called
you
it in the corner of my eye just as I looked over.
Um,
What was we talking about?
I've no idea.
Competition, bell ringing competitions. And does it get like really rowdy? I imagine they start fighting each
They
other.
get very competitive.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it?
Well, I've not done anything like that.
So
yet.
do they go to different church bells and do these competitions?
Yeah. And then you have things called peals, or like quarter peals. So that's like a method. So it depends on how many bells you've got. But in our church, it would take usually about between 45 and 47 minutes to ring.
A complete rotation.
Yeah, you have to have. Debbie's going to kill me. I think a quarter peal is 1,500 changes. So that means we're doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and then they swap places. So you have to do that. I think it's 1,500 times. And you can't stop. So if someone goes wrong or stops, then you don't get the quarter peal. You don't score
doing
it,
that.
if you like.
All your mates would be able to do house clearances, I think, wouldn't they, with their upper body?
And then, like, obviously, a full peal, sometimes, depending on the bells that they have, they can take sort of 5 or 6 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and you can't stop,
Exhausting.
sneeze, go to the toilet.
And then there's a rock version, isn't there? John Peel, isn't it? Called.
John?
Don't worry, all lost on you too. You're welcome,
Or
viewers.
maybe he's
It's an old
it's something.
thing.
I was going to say it must be of his generation.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
That's true.
true.
Yeah.
Because not only are your names about 3 letters out from each other, you're pretty much the same age as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
You
she's a
should.
little bit. She's a bit older than me.
She does look a bit older and all, doesn't she, Rose?
She doesn't though. That's the thing.
Oh,
She
don't
doesn't
start.
at all.
You've never had anyone walk off the podcast yet. So I would be very careful because one of your
might
hosts
walk away.
might.
Yeah.
You've got your backup, Rachel. She'll just fill in and
She'll
ask
just fill in,
herself
yeah.
questions.
I just swap chairs.
Yeah.
And I can put my glasses on. Do a proper like Superman.
What do you think of this?
Rachel Kerridge now. I'll be Rachel Kerridge and take them off.
Oh, dear. What else can we take the mickey out of you over?
No, don't take the mickey out of her.
I like bell ringing because we meet a lot of bell ringers in the job we're doing. It's just funny that
It is
you do it
unusual.
because it's not what you do. It's the fact that you do all of them.
Yeah. I've got pet stick insects as well. That's quite unusual, isn't it?
How long have you had them for?
I don't know.
About 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I've never seen your
Never
stick
met
insects. That's not a euphemism either.
I'll have to bring them out.
I have
think
met
Ted.
met stick insects before. We used to have them at school. Hello.
Hello, shake
Met
hands,
stick
you know.
I think Ted would love them. I'll have to bring them around.
Ted is obsessed with insects. I love them. I
We've
love
got
the
little
way
babies at the moment.
Oh,
he loves
yes,
nature.
you
I want to use. I wanted to. I want to do a bit more macro lens work,
Okay.
and they'd be ideal for that. Ideal.
Oh, look at
Ideal.
My stick insect's going to be model.
Yes. I just don't do much. And
Yeah.
I'd like to do a bit of
Yeah.
macro
Okay.
lens
That's
stuff.
that. We can arrange that.
Got a stick insect day.
Yeah.
So
Stick insect day sorted.
So these subtle shoots that people arrange, you're like, well, you can advertise your work. You're going to do some on stick insects.
Honestly, that'd be good.
Yeah.
So if you're
all right.
quite well lit and all that, it's glass thing, is it? In a
Yeah,
glass?
it's glass, but I could get them out as well on a table.
stick
something like
insects,
that.
yeah.
Yes, stick insects. So, oh, I know what I wanted to ask. Actually, ask your listeners, your viewers.
Go on then.
So as I was saying, I want to expand to doing small groups tuition, probably from like September, and I need a space, a workspace to work from, like a little classroom kind of space. Doesn't need to be that big. I'm in talks
Black
with...
shiny table, white walls.
This would be perfect. So I'm based in Dartford. So, within sort of 20 minutes, I would travel to.
Oh, this is 21 minutes away.
Oh, such a shame. Yeah. But yeah, if anyone knows of any spaces going, that'd be great.
Okay. Very good.
So how can people find you or your tuition?
She's here.
Yes. I actually don't have a website at the moment, purely because I've not needed it. It's been very much word of mouth and social media.
With some things,
you don't need
you don't really need too much. Social media is your website these days.
Yeah. Once I start explaining, I think I would like a website, because I have lots of other ideas as well, like about doing some parent workshops. Like how they can support their children at home with their homework and things like that. But yeah, that's all, somewhere in the future.
That's your 5-year plan, yeah?
Yes. But yeah, on Facebook, you can find me. It's called Leaps and Bounces Tutoring Services. So I'm on Facebook there. You can email me at Rachel_freelanceteaching@gmail.com as well.
Perfect. What was I going to say? You called it Leaps and Bounces because you were thinking about doing a bit of dance with that as well, weren't you?
Yeah. So again, I was saying in the past when I've done freelance stuff, sometimes I just get so many ideas and I don't know. So because I used to be a dance teacher, I do still do some dance teaching, just ad hoc, usually just cover work for people when I have time, which isn't often. And I thought, if I go over Leaps and Bounds, obviously you've got like the saying coming on Leaps and Bounds. But also I could link it back to the dance and maybe start up some dancing. That's not something I'm going to do at the moment, because the maths and the English has really taken off, and I want to really
concentrate, focus.
Yeah, I want to focus on that.
Just come round ours and dance, can't you?
Yeah, just dance in my bedroom.
You can dance now if you want. Stand up and dance.
Should we dance our way out of it?
Yes. Yeah, let's do that.
You want to dance your way out of this podcast?
I want to do a little curtsy.
You to dance out.
As if it's a finale. Yeah.
Go on then.
Now.
It's done. Well, unless you want to talk about anything else you want to cover.
I think I'm done. I haven't got a sports bra on. I'll do my best.
Oh, I thought you wanted to talk about that.
No, I mean from the dancing. Not got my dance shoes. Not got my sports bra. Yeah, no, I do a bit of dancing.
So, do you want to talk about dancing?
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know. Do you want to find? What am I trying to say? We never really talked about how you got to being a teacher. Well, how have you got to this position in your life? What did you want to be originally? A dancer?
Yeah, and then I think really quite early on I wanted to be a teacher.
Oh, right.
I've always liked
teaching. That's sorted then.
Yeah.
Bye everyone.
I didn't actually go to university till I was 28.
Right.
So I did some work as a teaching assistant. And a learning mentor and sort of support roles alongside the dancing that I always sort of did on the side. And then I did a primary education degree, which people always say, like, primary education degree, what do you do? Just like learn about schools. But actually, definitely, what I'm doing now really comes into play, because a lot of that was child development, child psychology, and the theories of learning, how we actually learn, how our brains can recall and retain information. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a 2-year accelerated degree, and I got first.
Did you? Well done.
While working and having 2 young children.
Blimey,
and then and that was at the University of Greenwich, which is amazing. I really recommend it to anybody wanting to do a degree, especially if it's like later on in life. I felt they were really supportive of like mature students. And then I did the initial teacher training within a school setting. And it's actually still the school that I'm working at now.
All right.
But now I'm doing more of a support role so that I can build up the tutoring.
You also do a bit of hosting, don't you? Like backup hosting, I hear.
Oh yeah, podcasts. Yeah, I'm available for podcasts. I think I just get roped into doing all kinds of
I'm like, what do we need? We need something clearing out. Give your H a call, she'll come and do it for us.
But it's so because I'm not a confident person. I'm not a sociable person.
Oh no, we've been here though. You're not confident on normal life things, like going shopping.
But I can do weird stuff.
But then you can be a Gothic. Morris dancing, bell ringing,
in the streets,
church flower candle arranger.
Candle flower.
But also as well, I feel it does make a difference to me when I'm around supportive people.
Are we supportive? Should we end in a cuddle, like a group cuddle?
Yeah, let's do
I
that.
was going to say it's nice because it's a topic of conversation that a lot of people don't have. Because people can say, I go to the gym or do this. When you come in and say, a bell ring, people are like, wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more. So, it's a good conversation starter.
Yeah,
it is.
It is. People are usually interested when I tell them about it.
It is. Definitely. It caught our attention. So it's like, tell me more about this. Because you do imagine it being a older person's, anything church related these days. Yeah. Anything church related, you just think it's like an older,
older generation.
Over 50 type thing.
As well, like I'm definitely not a traditionalist in any way, shape or form. But there are certain things that I think are nice to hold on to. A little bit like we said about the calligraphy and, holding on to some of those things. And I think that's why I like the bell ringing and the Morris dancing. Although, especially the Gothic Morris dancing, like got that modern twist to it. But with the bell ringing, actually, we've got quite a few youngsters. But yeah, generally speaking, it is older people. Once they are no longer here, that's it. Sort of finished. Again, with flower arranging as well. Like I'm the youngest person in church who does the flower arranging. The other ladies are much older, and you just think, it'd be really sad if we got to a place where you don't have them anymore.
It happens with a lot of things, but then it comes back. Like Tilly's into
you do have to move on.
Crocheting and stuff like that.
Yeah,
now,
that's true. Yeah.
It goes.
Harry Styles knits and crochets, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah.
He's brought it back into fashion.
And the diver. What's the diver's
Tom
name?
Daly. Yeah.
Tom Daly, yeah.
He's been sitting there at like the Olympics before, not actually competing, but watching the other contestants with his knitting needles and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're right. That is nice. They do come back around.
It does come back. It comes back when you
least expect it. I don't know
where you got me out of that. I don't know where I was going with it.
I don't know where you
got me right out of that. Anyway, it's always a pleasure to have you, Rach.
Thank you.
And we'll have you around again. It didn't sound right. Didn't make it like that.
On the podcast, I think.
I'm just a pleasure to have around all the time for anything.
Well, that's debatable, but
you're a ray of sunshine.
You're lovely, and you help us out when we need you to. So thank you.
You're welcome. Hug.
There we go.
This is the first podcast we've entered in.
I did a podcast.
You're the first with the squeaking thing.
I know.
First ended with the podcast hug.
There we go.
Oh, we
started with hugs.
We did start with hugs.
We did
not a group hug, but yeah.
I may have given Kelly a kiss or something.
No, you felt her up.
Oh, almost that. You feel her up. That sounds wrong, doesn't it? This podcast has been brought to you by Snugdubs Camper Van Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk. This podcast was brought to you today by Austin's Eatery on Station Road, Strood.
Try the Viking Challenge.